and I was chasing him the whole fight. And in my eyes, I still won the fight. I think I lost a split decision.
Yep.
But in my eyes, I still won that fight. And when they said to me, I lost the fight, I'm like, can I swear? I got a few submissions on my record, but half of them are people going, get me out of here, take this. And for me, it was so much more satisfying to make someone break mentally. Because I always prided myself being quite mentally tough. I want to take someone out to India, teach them how to make shoes, set up some factories and that sort of stuff, and teach them. And my dad goes to my mum, why don't we do it?
Tento podcast nahrávame v štúdiu podcaster.sk, ktorý sa nachádza v Bratislave na Greslingovej ulici v krásnom umeleckom priestore Atelier, ktorý je tu rovno za dverami, kam môžete prísť, malovať, dať si dobrý drink, koktejl a vychutnať si to na teraske, ktorá je tu vonku prostred mesta. Takže z tohto nádherného miesta vysielame aj ďalšiu epizódu. Vítajte pri sledovaní a počúvaní.
We are live, ladies and gentlemen, because today it's another English-speaking episode, and it's unique like never before. Today I have two super special guests. One of them is Punch Pickett, MMA legend and one of the best MMA fighters in UK, and Ondrej, my buddy and business partner and the best podcaster in Czech Republic and other countries around. We just want to use this unique opportunity to have you here, Brett.
No, good. I'm excited to be here.
We are filming together some time already, and we talk here and there. And we just feel it's like it would be interesting to talk with you about your story and everything. Like you said before, maybe from filming, that you almost died during the racing.
Yeah. That was the scariest challenge we've done. You know, I've just found we've not been able to hold on to the steering wheel, and how fast we were going around corners. I felt like I was going to fall out. I was way more scared of that. I'm scared of heights, by the way. I was way more scared of that than when you took me up in the plane. You know?
Yeah.
Way more.
Because I'm safety driver now. I'm not like the Econ.
Yeah, true as well. But also, it's the thing is like this,
You got a belt in the plane.
No, but just if I was in a plane and it was like, say, the one with the open top, and you felt like you kind of feel it, right?
Yeah.
I was in a capsule. It felt like I was in a video game. It didn't feel like I didn't feel nervous at all.
And you said me that you kind of like to be scared.
Yeah, it's So for me, it's like I love the thought of being scared. I like the thrill of being scared. But honestly, not a lot of things scare me. Right? So I love a scary movie. With watching it with attention and trying to be scared, but none really scare me. But then also I like to do scary things, like fighting and stuff like that. You get that adrenaline, and people think it's kind of strange and mental to do that. But I always find the closer you are to death, the more you feel alive. You know, that's why you feel exciting and change. It has changed for me a little bit. I was a lot more crazy when I was younger. When you get older and you have children, your perspective of life changes a little bit, where you don't take as many risks because there's more responsibilities of you getting hurt. So you kind of dumb it down a little bit. When you're young, if I run around and play in the playground and jump off this and break my arm, I got 2 weeks off school. Cool, wicked. Who cares? Cool. But I do it now. I'll break my arm. I'm not coaching. I'm not doing this. I can't pick up my kids from school. Yes, there's a lot more consequences of taking risks when you're older. You know,
now than before, right?
Yeah, way more. So now you are. Well, I don't know. Isn't you very sporty and athletic and do crazy stuff as well. But do you find that was that a switch for you, or do you still go full out crazy, or do you think, hey, maybe I shouldn't risk my life because I got kids to feed?
No, we were talking about just 2 or 3 days ago, or maybe yesterday, that I still got that feeling in my head that I'm around 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I'm on kiteboarding, and I just show it to Paolo last year.
Yeah.
So I don't care.
No,
I want to be 10 meters high, not 5 meters high. Yeah? So I just pull it off. And if it brings me joy, then I don't care.
Yeah, of course,
But
of course.
if it's like skateboarding, we've been talking about skateboarding, then I understand that it don't give me so much. Then I should try to put everything because I can break my ankles and things like this. And so sometimes I value these dangers or risks, but when I got some joys from something, then I don't value almost anything.
But it's also like this. It's like when you like me going down a half pipe, I would not do. You can pay me enough money to go down a half pipe, even attempt it right now, because there's no chance. But I would happily go. Even right now, I've been retired 7 years. If you said to me, go in there and fight the Oktagon champion. Well, yeah, fine, I'll do that. I'm not scared of that because I have experience in that area. Yeah. But so you roll the dice. You understand what you're in for. But yeah, if I do something I've never done before, like in any other extreme sport, it'd be nerve-wracking. I wouldn't want to do that. No.
And was it like, because what is interesting about you that you maybe not everyone knows it. Your first fight was in 2004, right? Is it right?
First fight was 2004. Yeah.
And was it? And then how was it? Like, if you remember that day, like when it was the first time fighting, really pro.
It was strange because right. The story of me is I was always been a sportsman all my life. Like when I was younger, as most kids in England, I'm going to be a professional footballer. Right? I was the best in my school by a country mile, and then you don't realise being the best in your school doesn't mean nothing. Outside, there's a lot more people playing football in your country, right? So, but then I'm really good. I'm like these guys, and then you go county level. I played county, and it's like, oh, these are a lot better. And then you start doing trials for football clubs, and you're like, okay, there's always these levels. So like, even though like in my head I was like, okay, I may not be the top, but I'm going to be somewhere. I'm going to be a professional football player. As the highest level I got was a Division 3 team called Russian Diamonds. So I played there. But for me, it's one of those ones where football was my love. Like, it didn't matter if I got paid or not. I would have just played. So I got paid like on a YTS kind of thing where I was like just getting paid to play, basically in the reserves though. But then because I love football so much, I play football elsewhere where I shouldn't be playing. So I'm not allowed to play football. When you contract to a club, they're like, but I'd be like, no, I want to play for this Sunday morning team, this pub team, this team. I just played football. And I remember playing a game for a pub team that I played for, but not their first team, their reserve team, because my first team didn't have a game. So I'm like, I want to play anyway. Let me play. I had no boots. I borrowed someone else's football boots, and they I don't know if you ever remember like the Adidas blades where they had the blades.
Yeah,
blades. So they were like, of course, I had those, right? And I remember just playing football. It was like hard. It was like in the summer. It was like the end of the seasons. When it starts getting sunny and the ground gets a bit hard again. I remember jumping up in the air and landing. Like the ball bounced, and I jumped in the air to control the ball on my chest, and I landed. And as I landed, my legs stayed where they were, and I just turned and twist. And I just remember going pop, 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 pop. I actually felt someone like shot me. I fell down, and then. Obviously,
the bones in the back, yeah?
No,
not in the knee.
It's my knee.
My
knee just my foot stayed and the blade stayed there, but I carried on going and it just rotated and it just snapped everything. And I remember falling down and then I was get taken off. I was sitting on the sideline. I'm like, oh my god, that sounded so bad. I felt like someone shot me, and I'm like, give me a minute, actually, 1 minute. And I started like, adrenaline's still pumping. I think I might be right. And I tried to stand up, I started walking, and I fell over. And then called an ambulance. I started getting on some gas, and I was there. And then that was kind of like the start, the end for me, where I still got the ACL in my leg now. I don't know if anyone can see. If I do this, I can. Oh, not there. If I did this, it's been a bit too low. I can move my knee out.
Yeah.
It kind of moves out.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Nice.
So I've got no ACL. ACL on my knee. So my footballing kind of stopped. But in the time when I was still playing football, because I was a sportsman, I love football so much, I wanted to keep fit. So I still got boxing, right? Just in between the days I wasn't playing football.
Oh, okay.
Just to get fit, because it was good fitness, right?
And
So,
how old you were in those times?
18.
18? Yeah.
18. So, like, I'd be quite cool. I mean, like, I did when I was younger, I did try out.
So you never tried boxing before?
Never.
That age,
Yeah.
Okay.
So I did try other things out, like taekwondo, a little bit here and there and stuff like that. But for me, I'm very much a person where I need to go somewhere with people. And all my mates went for 2 weeks and then go again. And I'm like, I don't know, so I'd leave and just play football, you know. But then I had a friend of mine who stayed going boxing with me, and I carried on going boxing. And he got to the stage when I was boxing, well, I'm just training there for like 6 months or so, or even probably less than that, 4 months. They went, "Do you want to have a fight?" And I'm like, "No."
No.
In my head, I wanted to say no, but I was like, no, that kind of thing. And like, so I had a fight, and like, I'm not gonna lie, it's the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done in my. For me, it's weird. It's like everyone thinks fighters are always like aggressive people. I wasn't. I was like just a good kid, nice kid, but
Active,
active, sporty. I'm very competitive. That's the difference. I was very competitive, but like for me, I was like, I didn't like go around punching people in the face, you know, or get into loads of fights. It wasn't that kind. I was just a very competitive guy. But I remember when I got asked to do a fight, I was fighting against like a rival. My first fight was against a rival kind of place. It was a place called Corby, and like. It's a rough place. Like everyone comes from there, you're just like, oh man, they're rough. You know, you just know. And I just remember me finding these people, this guy, and I was like
What was the event? Like it was some
a boxing event, just a small
big,
boxing, real small,
some small venue, or?
amateur boxing event, right?
So how many people was there, for example? Big, like if I can imagine.
50, 60.
Okay.
It wasn't many, right? I could find a picture on here, and I remember being backstage to get ready for my fight and going 1, 2, okay, jab, cross, and I practicing just like this. And I remember just going out of the fight, and the fight started, and the guy just went, bam, hit me. My nose exploded, right? And then I can't remember nothing else apart from him being on the floor. And like me just like this, like, and like just covered in blood, and like, yeah, so like it was mental. I didn't even know how I. Yeah.
That's interesting memory.
But you won, yeah?
Yeah, I won the fight. Right?
Oh, okay.
He was hit by him.
He hit me so hard.
You.
Smack, you can see that.
Yeah,
my
yeah,
nose,
And the
and
next
the
thing
blood.
you
I
remember,
saw-
you were standing and he was on the ground.
Yeah. So like,
That's nice.
So I didn't.
Oh my god.
So for me, it's like I didn't know what happened. So since then, after that fight, I said, people need to film me my fight, so I need to watch them back because I didn't understand what went on. So I boxed for like a couple of years. Boxed for a couple of years.
So just a quick stop. That this kind of nose, that's from that hit?
No.
Okay.
This is a different story, right? So basically, this could be a long podcast.
Yeah,
by the way.
okay.
Right.
No,
So,
but you have to explain this.
yeah, I'll explain
Amazing.
this in a second, because it was around this sort of time as well, so I'll explain it. But I was 10-1 as an amateur boxer, right?
Okay.
I was doing all right, and then that's when I ruptured my knee, and that kind of put my lot of things on hold. But then I tried to get back into boxing, and I cut some things off. So I was playing basketball. Do you know what community service is?
Yeah.
Right, so I was supposed to be doing community service, right? Where I was a bit of a naughty boy doing something stupid. Right, I wasn't a bad kid, but I just done something stupid, got in the wrong place, and so I had to go. I was supposed to be painting the school hall, and there was like this hallway, right, which was the sports hall, but it kind of led into the canteen area, and there was like an archway of a door, and there was a basketball ring above the door, and I'm like looking at it, thinking, I could dunk that. I reckon I could dunk the ball, right? So I went backwards, and I didn't even bounce the ball. I just ran as fast as I can and jumped up to dunk the ball, but not realizing the archway of the door is right where my face is going to be. Like I was too busy looking at the ring, and the arch of the door was here, and it kind of like the beam hit my nose and my arm. I hit it so hard like this, right? I flipped and I actually done a full backwards thing, right? And my mate saw it, like, and he was laughing, and I was holding my face like this, and I could just feel my hands just fill up with blood and start pouring. And I think I broke my nose. He goes, let's have a look at it like that. He goes, yep, you broke your nose. And so I went to hospital, and then so that stopped my boxing. So,
it was what age?
21, 19, 20. So I boxed between like 19 to 21. So it was like, I think it was towards the end of 21. I think I broke my nose.
So your basketball career?
Yeah. I actually, to be fair, I actually played basketball pretty well. It's pretty good, yeah. But yeah, so
But you never dunk, no?
No, I could touch the ring, which wasn't bad for my height. Yeah, but back in the day. But yeah, so so that stopped the boxing for a little bit, and then because my knee, I started playing football still, but at a lower level. Where before, when I played at a high level, I used to be a right back. Then I played midfield with my friends and stuff like that. Still competitively, I love football, but not drop the levels. And then I tried to get back into boxing when I was probably around about 25, close to 26. I went to a gym called Peacock Gym in East London. And because I was an older guy, no one really gave me any attention. You know, they were looking after, rightly so, they were all looking after the young kids there. And I was just there hitting the bag, and and I kind of found it a bit boring, like jab, cross, hook, what else is there, right? And then I remember seeing a guy, I don't even remember this fighter, old English fighter called Lee Remedios, right? He's a really old guy, fought Genki Sudo in K1? In Brawl in the Albert Hall. It was UFC 33 in England.
Albert Hall.
Yeah. So it was a long time ago. So I remember seeing him, and I'm like, man, this grappling looks pretty cool and that sort of stuff. And then I might give this a little go. So I remember going to a place called Elite Fighting System in East London, and I just started there and just grew with this kind of sport. It's primal. It's like, I remember my first class, and I used to box, right? I'm quite a competitive man, and I'm tough, like, yeah. And I remember going to my first ever class as like a 25-year-old man or 26-year-old man, and there's a young 16-year-old kid called Mark Babyface Smith. He's on top of you, see him as well, and he battered me. Absolutely battered
on the ground.
Me. Just like we're just having a little play, took me down. But even still, like when you're a guy, you kind of like, I can still wrestle someone a little bit. You're kind of like, but when I didn't know what I was doing, as a young kid who was like, I was 26 years old, and he was like 16 or 15 at the time, and he just embarrassed me, made my nose bleed, and that when I left that, then I was like, I need to learn this just for a life skill. I can't have someone out there being able to do this to me. I need to learn how to do this sort of thing.
And if I try to imagine yourself that time, like you said you were doing this sport, that you did boxing and training there. But what was your life situation? You work somewhere, or you was searching for some sport path that you can join?
I'd always wanted to be a sportsman.
Okay.
That was my thing. And so, like, for me, when I was in school, all I cared about was playtime, after school clubs, PE. That's all I wanted to do. I didn't care about. I was dyslexic at school. I didn't find out until I was like 13. But when I was dyslexic in school, so I found schoolwork kind of hard. I couldn't kind of do it. So I was very mischievous in school. I wasn't like a naughty kid in a way where I like was a bully or anything like that. But I'd be like, I'm a bit bored here. What's this? I'm like, where's my mate? I throw a rubber at my mate. Or so, I just become a class clown, make people laugh, kind of, because I just found the work too hard. So like I was always going to be, and then I wanted to be a PE teacher because I thought, at least I'm good at sports. Most sports I was good at. I'll be able to teach people to do sports. And then I didn't realize, I don't know if it's changed now at all, but back in my day, to be a PE teacher, you had to have a second second subject to be able to teach. You know, you can't just be PE. You have to be
only
you have to have like English or maths or some other subjects you can teach other people as well. Which was, I'm never going to do that. So like, that's why I struggled. Yeah. So, but I was always.
So at 26, you were still searching for 25.
No, I actually started working into fashion. This is why when like me growing up. My parents were famous shoemakers. You know, they used to make shoes. Actually, my dad, strange one. My dad, when I was born, was 52. And my mum was 41. So I had...
You are the only one?
No, I got two. So my dad had a previous marriage and my mum had a previous marriage. My dad's first marriage, he had two kids.
Yeah.
One girl, one boy. He then got divorced. My mum had a marriage. She was led to believe that she couldn't have kids. Right? She got divorced, met my dad. She thought she couldn't have kids, realized it wasn't her, it was him. And when mum and dad got together, they got kids.
Wow.
So they had my brother first, my brother Russell. He's 16 months older than me.
Okay.
And then there was me. So we were back to back. And that, to be honest, my brother helped me out so much throughout my life competing. me and him competed for everything. If you got siblings, you compete a lot. So
they were shoemakers.
Yeah. My parents were shoemakers. So I tried to get into that. My brother still works in fashion now.
So they were like famous.
If you said they're famous, what does it? How can I imagine
Okay.
the famous?
Okay, so we used to own our own like shoe shop and factory out the back. We had like quite a big house where it was like a 3-story house in London. There was like the bottom story was the shop. Then we had two floors where we lived, and out the back we had like a little factory. And we used to make shoes, sell them in. It used to be called Victoria Shoes. My mum and dad were quite, like, when I say famous shoemakers, famous people like Elton John and stuff like that would come to them and get their shoes made by them. And it was like, I could go and show you some of the shoes. You would never wear them in a million years, but someone like Elton John would, you know, like they're very flamboyant, high heel stuff, crazy. So then my a very rich guy called AJ Kelsey approached my dad, because he was a very known within the industry, and goes, I want to take someone out to India, teach them how to make shoes, set up some factories and that sort of stuff, and teach them, and obviously pay them a lot of money. And my dad goes to my mum, why don't we do it? And that's what happened. So when I was 8 years of age, we moved out to India. I lived in India for a couple of years.
And it was which year?
I don't know. I was 8, so I don't know what year that would be. I was born in 1978, so yeah. So I was like 1985.
86. It's crazy. You can imagine India at the time.
Yeah, so I moved to India. So this is it. So
which city?
It was in Delhi, but a place called New Delhi, just Noida, just outside of New Delhi. I went to school there. I went to school there for a couple of days, and no one spoke English. No one. Not
really?
the teachers, no one. So I just went to school. And I was like, what am I doing here? And I just literally went outside, and I just played with stray puppies. There were like loads of stray puppies everywhere. And I used to play with the stray dogs, the puppies. And I come, it wasn't for like a few days. And I come back, and my dad and my mum goes, how's it going to school? I'm like, yeah, but no one speaks English. I'm like, what? They didn't realise. And once they realised that no one spoke English, they sent me to an American boarding school up in the Himalayas, up in Missouri, up near Nepal. I went to a boarding school up there. Lived there. I was up there for like 2 years kind of thing. Went to boarding school.
Without them, yeah?
Without my parents, yeah.
How long you lived there without them?
2 years. No, but obviously school term, I'll be up there and I'll come back down and stuff like that.
But you were still just 8 and you go to the school?
I went to boarding school,
So you've been there like for 4 months, then you come back for Christmas?
Yeah, that sort of thing. That kind of thing, back and forth.
That's crazy.
But it was just me and my brother, you know, so like I had my brother with
At
me.
least you have
But I'll be honest, when I was as a kid, like, I didn't enjoy. I miss my family and that sort of stuff. But and also India in general, I didn't appreciate it one bit.
No.
But now when I look back at it, man, it was amazing. I saw some crazy stuff, like some good stuff and some bad stuff. Like I remember we lived in the mountains, and I had to walk up the mountains to go to school. And on the way down to school, I had to walk back. We were not allowed to carry any food up or down, right? Because the monkeys were just... And I remember one day going down, right? There were two girls in front of us, two young girls, and they had their backpacks on. They must have had food in their backpacks because they got mauled by these monkeys to rip open their bags and they were getting their hair pulled, and I was only a kid, so I'm like, I wasn't getting involved. I was like, screaming. But that's one of the crazy things I saw. Also, another time walking down the hills, I walked down and there was a wild puma, just walked down, and I'm like, and he looked at me. Well, me and my friend called Shivi, he was an Indian guy, me and him, and he looked at us and just then carried on walking. But it was like a wild black puma, and I was like, holy shit. Yeah.
You can kill it if you're especially.
100%. But that's where you live, and it's like normal for other people there, but it wasn't for me, it was crazy.
Wow. And after like years, what you would say, what this experience can give to people, what it gives to you, this
it allowed me to be a bit more independent, I guess, where away from my family. I was very much a mummy's boy, 100%. But it gave me a bit more independence, I did later on in life as well, moved out from my parents when I was 18, lived on my own, kind of a little bit, when my parents moved back down, because when we lived in India, when we moved back from India back to England, they didn't want me growing up in London. That's where I was from, thinking I'd get into all sorts of sort of trouble. So then we moved in a place called in the Midlands, a place called Weldon. It's like Northamptonshire sort of way. So we moved back there, and I lived. That's where I had
How was it? I can imagine, if you come back from India, mountains, going to school somewhere, right, Himalayas.
But when I came back, so I was about 10, 11, when I came back, and I enjoyed coming back because I had English chocolate and English toys and stuff like that. Where back in India.
No Buddha.
What's that?
No Buddha.
No, yeah, but it was but it was good. I enjoyed coming back, and it was cool. Okay. But that was in a different, and that's where I had I would say my teen years was in the middle of England kind of thing. That's where I was. So I've been around quite a bit, and then my parents went back down to London. My brother went with him, and this is when I was in my football time, and I was playing football for a team called Russian Diamonds then as well. I stayed up there, and because I had a girlfriend, I had my football, my boxing, and I was I stayed there.
Okay.
And then also I worked a little bit up there as well, because in England, that's why we moved there as well. That's where the shoe sort of trade was in England. But it was always a dying trade, because now, like most places, any clothes get made in Turkey. You get to the stage where that's why my parents went out to India to teach them how to make shoes, because it's way more expensive labor in England. So there wasn't that many people making shoes there. But my mum went to teach in the London College of Fashion. That's where she went back down, so she was teaching. That's where she actually ended up teaching one of her students was Jimmy Choo. So she taught Jimmy Choo how to make shoes. Yeah, and so that was it. I tried to go into the shoe industry myself. Went to Cool Wayne's College, was the shoe school, learned that a little bit. Went and worked in a factory up north, and I was in charge of 40 women kind of thing. And I was just like, man, this is tough, because obviously, don't want to sound like 40 women, some of them having a great day and some of them having a bad day, and it was just hard to balance this out, because one minute Jane's amazing one day, next day she wants to stab me in the eyes. So I'm like, it was kind of hard. It was hard, but 40 of them, and I was and they were working, and it was always price work. So if I give them work, sometimes some things were easier to do than others, but I had to be very fair how I dished out the work to people, because I can't give this one the easy work all the time. I think, it was tough work. Yeah,
you didn't saw yourself in this.
No,
anymore.
Because I saw myself, and then I moved back down to London, and then I got into fashion down there in that way. I went and worked for a brand. I think you heard of Diesel, the jeans, Diesel jeans.
Yeah.
I went and worked for Diesel. My brother worked for Diesel.
And you were work as well?
I went to
manager
no, I actually just worked in the store in Covent Garden.
Okay.
So, but I was in charge of the stock room, so like all the stock and that sort of stuff. So I was in charge of that and done all that. And then I moved from there to another company called Maharishi, which is like, I don't know if you ever know it, but it used to be like cargo pants with embroidered dragons on the back. It was like quite famous back in the day. I worked for them, but then I was working in the store, and then they took me to moved me to head office. And then I became like, at least I was doing an office job, and I was just like doing orders, and it's just like, it's not fun for me. It's just not what I want to do. So then I'm like, I want to become a stuntman. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to become a stuntman. And this is also when I got into fighting a little bit, because that'd be one of my disciplines. Started doing trampolining, horse riding, to try and get all the disciplines I needed to do. And then fighting kind of just took over. Like, started doing well, and then I just went down that path. And it kind of just all fell in line where I wanted to be an athlete, wanted to be a sportsman. And now I'm doing it fighting, so it was funny. And like I say, I started early on. My main thing was Cage Rage, you know, that which was like a big show to start on. But that's where I started, you know.
The first fight was there?
No, first fight was on, what was it? It was called Portsmouth Fight Nights. It was on Portsmouth Pier. I remember fighting a guy called Lee Curtis, I think it was. And
Lee Curtis.
And he actually weighed, when I signed up the fight, I was a little bit heavier. And then I'm like, yeah, cool, he's going to be heavier than me. So I think I was like 66 kilos, and he was like 70 kilos. And I'm like, oh yeah, whatever, fine. And then I remember fighting and training, I started losing my weight. By the time I went to fight, the guy weighed 8 kilos more than me.
It was a good card, actually.
Yeah, we had the people like Dan Hardy was on there.
Dan Hardy was the main event.
Yeah.
Paul Daly was there.
On this show as well, they also had like Jose Aldo, you know.
Really? On this?
Did he fight this one as well? Yeah, me versus Lee Curtis.
Lee Curtis, yeah.
But it is not their first fight. It was?
No,
it was Brett's first fight, and Paul Daly was the co-main event, and then Hardy was the main event against Paul Jenkins.
Yeah, so but you see, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember Paul Jenkins.
Full contact fight night.
Yeah, that's it.
Because that time was like the Valetudo, no? Almost.
No,
it was already MMA. Like,
it was MMA, but yeah.
But full contact was in Holland and in England. It was like full contact. In Czech and East was like Valetudo.
Or street fight. They call it.
Mostly it was like the.
There were some shows with mixed rules where they wanted me to wear shin guards. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Why am I wearing shin guards?
And at this first event, like, there was great names. And how big was that? If I want to imagine it, like that night, it was just small, big. It was in garage or venue.
And it was in the ring, yeah.
It was in a ring. It was on the Portsmouth Pier. And I remember this is back in the day where you allowed to smoke anywhere you want. And I remember it just being on the raised floor and looking at it. It's just like a smoke-filled room. It was just literally, it was like, mate, you know, and it looked like a scene from Snatch. You know, it looked pretty bad, you know,
and how was this first MMA fight? It's different, right?
He was a grappler, right? And I honestly did not know nothing, right? Really, honestly, I just had a boxing background. But I think he saw me, and because I say by the time I fight, I was a lot smaller than him, and he was like 8 kilos heavier than me. I was like, I'm probably gonna batter this guy, and then he's tried to stand with me. I just hit him with a couple of shots. I came close. I remember picking him up, just throwing him on the floor. Didn't go down there because I didn't know what I was doing. And literally, when I say I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't have a clue what I was doing, right? Just threw him on the floor. He got back up, then hit him again and broke his nose. And then it lasted 40 seconds.
Oh, cool.
And then my second fight, I remember fighting a guy called
Stuart
Grant, right? This is my first fight in Cage Rage. I'm like, yeah. First fight in Cage Rage. Knocked this guy out in 20 seconds or something like that, right? And I literally thought I was the man. I'm like, this is it. I'm the man. This is it. And then I felt and then I got humbled so bad in my second fight on Cage Rage against a guy called Chris Freeborn. I don't know if he says it on there, but at the time, I think when I fought him, he was 7 wins and 14 losses. I don't know how it was.
7 wins and 14 losses.
He said he was 4-10, but he wasn't. He was 7 wins, 14 losses, right? But still like a losing record, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, mate, I'm going to batter this guy. What am I on about? But yet again, I didn't know nothing really on the floor. So I remember, went out there, I'm like, oh, come on, let's have a fight. And he took me down. I'm like, what are you doing? And I like managed to scramble a bit, get back to my feet. I'm like, what are you doing? Let's fight. And then like he took me down again. I'm like, oh my God.
What are you doing? Let's fight.
Yeah. Literally, that's like, what are you doing? And then he remember in the first round he put me in a triangle choke. I didn't even know what it was. And like he was hitting me, right? And I just picked him up and smashed him down, got out of the choke, and I'm like, come on. And not realizing after my first 2 fights didn't even last a minute, man, I was getting tired. I'm like using ridiculous energy, getting out of stuff. And I remember then in the second round, he took me down again and put me in a triangle, right? And he was just hammer fisting it wasn't like hard shots, but hammer. And I just remember being in this choke and watching blood trickle down my nose, down my arm. I look, it's just his blood just doing this, right? Just trickling down. And he's just hit me. And then he got to a stage where I wasn't tapping and the ref stopped the fight, just like me being kind of TKO'd, but in a triangle. And I was like, and I actually got, as the ref stopped it, I got angry with the ref. And what are you doing? I headbutted the canvas, just in the mood. And I was like, fucking, this is bullshit. Why you stop the fight? Kind of 100% he should have stopped the fight. I was not getting out of this position. Yeah. And I had no idea how to get out of the position. I had no more energy to pick him up and slam him. So like, but then I remember straight after that fight, I looked, I wear a trilby hat, right? I could not put my hat back on my head. My head was just, because it wasn't like hard punches, but it's just constant, constant.
Yes,
and he just hit, and he's like, wasn't hard, but just constant. I remember my head, I looked at that.
We saw it just 1 month ago in Auto Arena, in Kinsella against Vemola.
Yeah,
no? Still this.
I look like the Elephant Man. And,
hammers.
And I remember the next day, I just looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I'm not going to look like this again. I need to go train some groundwork. And I went, that's why I went and started learning how to fight on the floor and that sort of stuff, And then obviously.
I just want to add that I'm not going to do this again. It means like 2 months for the next fight.
Or is it 2 months for the next fight? Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I put a lot of training in 2 months. Yeah, but I just fought all the time, So, but I did. I fought.
Aaron Blackwell then.
A guy called Aaron
Blackwell.
It was a win
or loss?
Yeah, I won. Yeah. So again, guy Aaron Blackwell, he was like, up and coming guy. Apparently, he's whatever.
4-4 the time.
Yeah. But I just I beat him, and then I think he beat. That was it. I think he beat Chris Freeborn, right? So I thought I'm gonna beat the guy that beat me, to kind of rectify my loss, kind of thing. So I did that, and then for years I was trying to get a rematch with Chris Freeborn, but I couldn't get that rematch.
Your competitiveness.
No, yeah. But then I started growing like on Cage Rage, where this really helped me out.
But before, sorry, did I interrupt you? But before that, there was some kind of bulldog fights or something like this before?
Bulldog fight, no. So I was still fighting for Cage Rage at the time, right? But Cage, there's an opportunity for me to go to a show called Bodog, which is crazy good. Like it was a guy called Calvin Ayre, who was a multi-millionaire from Canada, just had a lot of money. I think he wanted tax write-off money from his gambling company, and he wanted to just put on a fight show. And he put on some amazing fight shows, had great guys on these cards, right? And I remember flying to Costa Rica for 2 weeks, all inclusive. Sucked because I was cutting weight, so it was not the best thing in the world. He had 3 days of fights, 10 fights each day, right? And everyone, like people like Masvidal, myself, Jake Shields, Chael Sonnen, Eddie Alvarez, like Dennis Kang, there was so many like great fighters just fighting on this show.
But it was like not the official, no? It was like, it's not on Topology, it's not on Shadow. Yeah, it is there.
If you go, I thought a guy called JR Sim.
Yeah, it's here, Bodog. Yeah, I was thinking there is not.
Click on Bulldog Fight there.
Yeah.
So it was normal MMA rules, or it was different rules?
It's just normal MMA rules, but if you click on that, I think it'll be. I don't know if it shows the 3 days of fights or just the card that I on the day of my fights, but that's just the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was great, and that was the first time I actually earned any sort of money. Well, second time actually. The first time I fought, I think before that fight, I fought on a show called K1 Dynamite.
You've been on K1.
Yeah, K1 Dynamite, and that's the first time I earned a bit of money. I think
How much was it?
I think it was $8,000 when I fought then, and that was
at the time.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, but Japanese, they was almost the only one who's got the money outside of UFC.
But I actually fought in America.
Yeah.
K1 Dynamite.
K1 Heroes Dynamite, UFC.
Yeah, I went to USA, and I fought in the LA Coliseum, and it was like 40,000 people, right? No, 40,000 people attendance, but it looked like nothing because it's a 90,000 seat stadium.
Oh my God.
So
that was the stadium where the World Championship final in football was, no?
Yeah, at the LA Coliseum. It was a massive stadium, but it felt empty because it was just like not that full. I fought there, and I remember this point in my career was a kind of tough time because I fought just before that fight. I fought a guy called Alex Owen. At the time I fought him, I think it was like 18-1 or 18-0. A guy called Alex Owen. I lost the decision to him. I thought I won the fight. He was a grappler, and I've been going out to America doing a lot of training in America. And I wanted to prove to people, like, everyone thought I was a striker. I'm like, no, I could wrestle and now I could grapple. So I took him down quite a lot. And then in my eyes, I kind of out-grappled him. Mm-hmm. And I thought I won the first 2 rounds. The third round, I took him down and he took my back and body triangled me. Mm-hmm. And I just couldn't get out of the body triangle for the whole round, But he couldn't submit me. So I know I lost the third round, but I'm like, I won the first 2 rounds, so I should win the fight. I lost the fight. And then I took this other fight called on K1 Dynamite against a good guy called Hideo Takura. He armbarred me, and I lost 2 fights in a row. And this was a real turning point in my career where I went to LA Coliseum, fighting in front of 40,000 people, and then I came back of 2 fights, lost 2 fights in a row, first time in my career, and then they asked me to fight a guy called Vaughn Lee. Right, Vaughn Lee, since now, he fought in the UFC and that. But at the time, I didn't know who this guy was. He was, I think, at the time I fought. Tapoji may be wrong. I think he was like 7-2 or something like that when I fought. 6-3, but sometimes wrong. He was like on a fight win streak. He was like on a 5 or 6 fight win streak, and I was on a 2 fight loss, and I didn't know who this guy was, and I'm like. And I went from fighting in LA Coliseum to the not on the main Cage Rage show. It wasn't Cage Rage. It was Cage Rage Contenders. So it's like fighting from Oktagon on your main show. Yeah. And then now you're fighting on the I was the main event, but fighting on the small show. I'm like, man, this just fucking sucks. So I came back and I was like, if I get beat by this guy, I'm done. It's not for me, kind of thing. I didn't want to be that guy to just be in the sport for the sake of it. I wanted to do something. So I remember fighting him in such a bad mood, and I just battered him pretty good. And then that was it. And then from that, I went on quite a big win streak, and and then I just went on, and then I got signed to the WEC. And that's when I went to the WC. Then WC obviously went into the UFC and stuff like that. But that's when it changed. And then I think when I got to the WC, I was 19-4 or something like that, wasn't I?
Mm-hmm. You fought Demetrius Johnson when he was 19-4.
Yeah. So I would have been 18-4 or something like that. Then when I got to the WC.
He was the first guy who beat him.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah, obviously people look at that and always, but for me, honestly, when I beat him, he was actually 14-0 at the time, but was his 3-0. So so I got told he was 14-0 on other records, but this is his 3-0. But I was just like, yeah, whatever. You know, like, I'm more experienced than this guy. I'm going to beat this guy. So, and I beat him. And I beat him convincingly and quite how I thought I would beat him, and didn't think much of it. And then obviously he went on and done amazing things. So I didn't get the credit, I guess. I could have got it if I beat him later on down the line. But but for me, he's like, it was, I thought tactically, it's like he was very quick. So in my eyes, speed, timing beats speed. So I used his speed against him. So I'd just be fighting, and then as soon as he moves towards me, I'd just change my level and take him down. And then that'll be it. And then,
it was bantamweight, yeah?
Bantamweight. So he was small, right? There wasn't a flyweight division. You know, they created the flyweight division for him. And that's why later on in my career, when I had a few title eliminator fights. I fought a guy called Scott Jorgensen in WEC. I got beat by him. He got a title shot. Then I fought Helen Barral in my UFC debut. I lost to him. He got a title shot. Then I went away. I won a couple of more fights. Then I fought Eddie Wineland in Vegas. I lost a split decision to him, I believe. Right, which I thought I won. He got a title shot. You know, straight off that, right? So then I went away, and then I fought, was it Mike Easton? Mike Easton. And then I fought Michael McDonald. He beat me. He got a title shot. And then I'm done in this weight class, right? So I'm like, let me go down a weight class and try and get a fight with Demetrius Johnson, because I want to be a world champion before I finish. That was that. I didn't care about money. I just wanted to try and be the best. I'm like, it'd be a good way. My title shots at that weight class are gone. I didn't want to be that guy in the pub going, you know what? I beat Demetrius Johnson. If I went down a weight class, I beat him. I wanted to I'm going to try it. I'm going to try. It wasn't easy for me. I remember being my first fight at flyweight. I remember being 6 weeks out, right? And
No City.
Yeah, I remember 6 weeks out from the fight, and this is my body stats. I was 6.3% body fat, right? 6.3% body fat. I still weighed body mass 145 pounds. Right.
Can you show me? I will. So
there was almost no body fat and still
144. I was 144 pounds. I still kind of had 19 pounds to lose, right? And I was 6 weeks out from my fight, and I looked like this. So you could tell. I obviously look in great shape, but you could tell by my face, it wasn't fun. You know, I was like my bones are sticking out.
I remember those times.
So I was like this skinny, but that's I wanted to do that. The carrot on the end of the stick was be a world champion.
Yeah.
So I'd eat nothing. I'd eat some peanuts and a little bit of rice. And I was whatever. Fine.
6 weeks.
No.
How long was this? Really, when you?
Okay, right. So the first one for me, it was so I lost to Michael McDonald. That was the end of 1 year, right? And then I got married in September. I think it might have been August. And I think
you didn't eat much on the wedding?
No. When I got married, I went on honeymoon, and that's when I'm like, I'm gonna go down a weight class. And I kind of made my mind up then. I went on my honeymoon, no, that's it. I need. For me, I was always had to have. For me, I never fought because of money or fame or something like that. I felt I needed something to I always was challenged. I want to be the best in the world and stuff like that. And I needed the carrot and then something to motivate me to train. So that's why I'm going to go down a weight class. And I was crazy motivated. So from that time there, I said, right, I'm going to do my best to get my weight down as much as I can the rest of this year. I'm fighting in March the next year in the London O2 card, and I lose my weight by then. And I remember eating nothing over. I took me a long time to get my natural walk around weight down, but then honestly, when I made the weight, it wasn't too hard for me. You know, I still just dieting was the hard part. The walk cut was the same, but I remember fought a guy called Neil Siri, beat him quite comfortably. And then I fought Ian McCall. This is where I kind of found the weight class quite hard, where I found they would run away too much. I get it's a part of the sport, but it wasn't part of me. I'm like, come on, let's fight. You know, like even still going back to that cage rage fight. I'm like, what are you doing? Let's fight. You know, like why are you running away from me? You know, it makes no sense. And then I got beat by Ian McCall and then I'm like, okay, right. That for me kind of that maybe took away my chances of getting a title shot at that weight class. But I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have one more go down at this weight class. You know, like let me have a go. So I fought a guy called Chico Camus. This guy was one of the most frustrating fights. He ran. When I say run away, he was even standing sideways and going left and right. He wouldn't. And I was chasing him the whole fight. And in my eyes, I still won the fight. I think I lost a split decision.
Yep.
But in my eyes, I still won that fight. And when they said to me, I lost the fight, I was like, can I swear?
Yeah.
I was like, fuck this. You know, this is bollocks, man. Like, how could you score a guy who's running away from a fight, not fighting? It's called a fight, right? And you're running away so much, you're avoiding a fight. You should be penalized. Like in Japan, they give you cards. You know,
I remember that fight.
They should do that.
I was already the commentator for this.
Yeah. And mate, it was the most frustrating thing in the world. I'm like, how? And then once I lost that fight, I'm like, fuck this weight class.
You also saw it like that?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. I was just chasing them the whole time. I'm like, this weight class is just.
That was a very strange fight.
In my eyes, I was like full of pussies. Like, no, in my head, I was like, if you put me in a room and any person in the flyweight division in that room and gave one of us a key, I'd come out of that room. You know, I just ran out of time to get hold of these bastards. They just run away so much. I wasn't tired. I didn't get gassed out or anything like that. I just like, oh my God, what are you doing? You know, like, so in my eyes, no matter if there was no time limit, I would get hold of you at some point and then I would batter you. But I just couldn't. They were just running away the whole time. So I found that very hard. So then I went back up a weight class. Right. This is where in my head, it kind of started going downhill because I was fighting for the sake of fighting. Wasn't fighting for a reason of like. Being number one in the world, you know, that's where in my eyes, I started to like go down because
you don't have that.
I don't have that.
Goal,
I didn't have the goal or the drive, you know, like kind of thing. And this is actually the first time I ever turned down any fight. So they offered me to go back a weight class. They offered me to fight Bruce Leroy, and I was like, no. Because he's just going to run away as well. He'd be awkward, very annoying. Like, he doesn't like fighting either. He's just spastic. And, like, I don't want to fight that guy, right? No offense. But like, so then they go, oh, do you want to fight Thomas Almeida then?
Yeah.
I'm like, 100%. It was like 19-1 or something, or 18-1.
19-0 he was there.
19-0. Yeah. So 19-0. I'm like, give me this guy. Then I'm like, yeah, I'll fight this guy. And that fight was a great fight. I mean, like, I was winning that fight, you know. I dropped the guy twice in the first round, and then,
fuck yeah,
then he just done this beautiful. I remember because like you copy people sometimes, so I remember trying to do a jumping knee on him, and then he just I know this is how you do, and he done the most beautifully timed jumping knee, boom, sent me back, took me down, and this is the thing I would always say. At this point in my career, I'd never been knocked out, right? And I was like, he knocked me down. And he just walked off. In my eyes, yeah, again, people may disagree, but I felt like if he came on top of me and started hitting me or something like 1, 2, it could have gone two ways. One, I could have been shut out completely. Or, in my eyes, I thought I would have tried to hold on to him a little bit more and try to recover. Because I've been dropped before in fights, but I had kind of like a quick recovery. And I remember, like, me trying to get up and, like, what are you doing? You stopped the fight. And I was definitely wobbled. Right? I was definitely wobbled, right? But I'm like, man, let me fight, kind of thing. But but then
crazy setup, no? It's unbelievable how
in the heads
how
of
you can
fighters.
get it in the heads of you, because I commented this fight. Yeah, and I was like, fuck. So this is the last time we saw Brad Pickett.
Yeah.
I was thinking like, this is it. Yeah, it was really like, wow.
No,
that knee was unbelievable.
It was a great knee, but for me, and also for me, this kind of like changed things for me as well. Because obviously for me, I think I've never been knocked out before. I'm tough.
Yeah.
I know. And then for it just to be put on my record as a knockout, it kind of broke me a little bit. And it took my fighting style was always going forward and being resilient. Hit me, don't care. I hit you back.
I'm immortal.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's it. I was immortal. But now, records say I'm not immortal, right? It says, so like, now I have this little thing in the back of my head, like, oh, you can get knocked out. So I'm like, I'm a little bit like, I'm tentative, where normally I'm like, let's fucking go. I didn't care. And then for me, it really spoiled my mindset. And I used to always think I had one of the strongest mindsets within fighting. I was really good. And I'm like, and it made me a little bit more like, oh, now I'm a bit more vulnerable now. I've got to be careful now. It took away, then that again took away my fighting sort of style. And like, then after that fight, I fought another guy called.
I mean, sorry, but this is the thing, like, right? That you sometimes you never can get it back.
No.
Did this
Me
fearless,
me getting
right?
knocked down in that fight. I think that changed my career. But also because like me going down a weight class, when I went back up, I didn't put all my weight back on. You know what I mean? I was a lot smaller than a lot of the bantamweights at that time because like I'd lost a lot of muscle to go down to fly around and come back up. So like, but for me it was like
some fighters which they have like clean record, like I don't know, 10 wins or something, and they suddenly lose.
Yeah, it's like Usman now. I think like he's fucked up now.
Yeah. Because it's the mental thing. Like it's the mental thing though. Yeah. Okay, I'm not invincible. He got knocked out in front of millions of people, and that's gonna, no matter where you are, that's gonna be in your head. So like for me, is like So I had that fight. Then I fought another fight against not Cheetah.
Francisco Rivera.
Francis, yeah. And then that was a close fight, you know, like, and that's probably one of the closest fights. I won that fight, right? But it's one of the closest fights where I'm like, even watching it back, he won the first round. I 100% won the third round.
Yeah.
The second round, I can watch it to this day now and go, yeah, I don't know. So for me, that could have gone any way. But there's been all times where I've lost split decisions where 1,000% I've won. And this is the only one where I'm like, well, still, I didn't say I lost it, but I'm like, that second round could have gone either way. He won the first round. I won the third round. How did you score it? But I got the nod. Thank God for that. It was good. But if I lost that fight, I would have just retired there and then. Yeah. But I won. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then I remember this now, for me, was like the point in my career where kind of like, where I was just training for the sake of training. You know what I mean? I was like, I didn't have this, the drive to be number one. I still trained hard. I was that guy and stuff like that. But I was just you kind of felt like, I'm going down a little bit, right? So then I remember trying to fight this guy called Henan Barones. This guy pulled out me 3 times now in my career, right? I meant to fight him, but he kept him pulling out. But I was meant to fight him. I was fighting on a card in Germany, right? He pulled out of the fight, and I was already like in training camp. The fight was like 3 weeks away. I fly out to America, do all my training out there for like 8 weeks. The fight was just 3 weeks away. He pulled out. And then they'll go, okay, right, now okay, what we're going to do now is put you back we're going to put you on the Manchester card. And that was like another 6 weeks later. And I'm like, oh, fucking hell. And I'm like, whatever. And then they okay, put him on the Manchester card. Didn't have an opponent me for age, so I'm just training. And then they go, okay, right, no one's saying yes. But we've got someone now called Yuri Alcantara. I'm like, whatever. I'll fight anyone. Just give me a fight. And he's a southpaw. I hate southpaws. And I remember, again, training for this fight, now training against southpaws. In the gym, I was doing terrible because I'm fighting southpaws. So people like who are not that highly ranked or good were doing really well against me because of southpaw. I just did not like southpaw. My fight style did not really do it well against southpaws. So again, I had a really bad training camp wasn't full of confidence because it wasn't great. And I remember fighting Yuri Alcantara, and I remember now because it was on the Dan Henderson Bisping card, it got put later on. Like it was like, I remember fighting like 3 a.m, you know, like, and it was tough. I was so tired, and I remember fighting. You think he threw a teep straight away, winded me. Didn't show it though. I'm like, but man, it hurt me. And I went backwards a little bit. Then I remember a couple of punches. I think I was close to hitting someone in the crowd. And then he threw a spinning back elbow, dropped me. I survived, started fighting, trying to think, just mounted me, I think, or something like that. And then he put me in a triangle armbar, maybe. It was a triangle armbar.
Choke, they said.
Yeah, I think it was a triangle armbar, but yeah, he got me. He got me with that, and then I was like, bollocks, fucking, I hate this sport. Sport's not for me. I'm done, and I'm like, I'm done. You know, like, so in my head, I say, my next fight is going to be in the London O2 card in March. I'm going to retire in front of everyone and just say I'm done. Become a sport kind of thing, because that sucked. How long I was away for, that long training camp, all that sort of stuff. And I'm like, this is just, not for me, right? And then in between that fight, I got a phone call from Sean Shelby. He goes, hey, Brad, what's up? He goes, how do you feel about fighting Uriah Faber for his retirement fight? I'm like, yeah, hell no. Yeah, of course I do that. So I'm like, I said, as long as I can still retire in front of my home crowd in March, I'll fight this guy in between. Yeah, no worries. Because like, apparently, again, he had loads of people turn him down. They want to fight him. I was like, yeah, I'll fight him. All right, so I'm like, cool. So yeah, again, I'm like, okay, cool. It's quite cool. Like, Uriah Faber's a legend. I'd fight him. Yeah. And so I fought him. And yet again, obviously looking back at it, I felt like if I'd have fought him at a different point in my career where I was full of confidence, I'm feeling good, I potentially feel like I could have beat him. But I went into that fight, yet again, for me, fighting's 90% mental, 10% physical. I went in there with the wrong mindset because how embarrassing the fight with Yuri Alcantara went, in my head, it was like, I'm just not going to get finished by Uriah. So I was just so kind of like not letting him, defending everything he had kind of thing. But I wasn't.
You didn't went for finish.
I wasn't trying to win the fight. I was just trying not to get beat. Yeah. You know? And obviously by doing that, you're just going to lose by default anyway. So I remember that. And then I lost the decision of that fight. But obviously it's Uriah Faber, I get it. But still, I'm a competitive person. And I felt like I could have maybe beat him if I did, but I didn't. And then gone to my retirement fight. Yeah, again, signed up to fight Renan Brones. Again, he pulls out on me. Then they bring me Chito Vera. I was like, I don't care. Yeah. And then I fight Chito Vera at catch weight, 140 pounds. And I'm like, whatever. Right? I looked at the guy, got Chito Vera on tape. I'm like, fine. This guy's easy. I'll smoke him. Wow.
And how you were saying that these last fights or years, you don't have that goal. It was hard to prepare. You were just training. Yeah. I was always curious how you can prepare for your last fight if you know that you want to retire. This
is the weirdest experience I've ever had.
How to prepare for that?
Because it's like one of those ones where it's like, it was so good and so bad in a lot of ways. Because when most people retire from MMA, it's a bad injury. Now you're not fighting anymore. Or 2, they get sacked. You cut them and they're like, well, I'm done then. Yeah. If you keep them on, they'll fight. Yeah. You cut them, they'll just go, right? So for me, it's like, in a real morbid way of saying this, it's like dying and being at your funeral, hearing people what they're going to say about you. Like, because I got a lot of love, You know when someone dies, and everyone says nice things about you. But in my head, I died. Yeah. But I can hear all the nice things people were saying about me, what I did for the sport and all that sort of stuff. So it was actually really cool. It was actually quite emotional as well. Like, a lot of loss, my last training camp, my last this, my last that.
So it was public that time. You said everyone, everyone knew.
Everyone knew. So like, even when I went to the UFC for the UFC office, it was like they made a massive a wallpaper, a newspaper for me. Obviously, when I fought, I used to come out to the newspaper. They made a newspaper for me. Loads of articles like things what Dana White said, what other people said. It was so cool. It was very emotional. It's such an emotional the whole experience was so emotional for me. Like I was like welling up.
The whole family was there, no? Kids?
Yeah. And even when me walking out, I remember was welling up before my fight. You know, like it was just such a weird experience. And like I say, when I fought Chito Vera, and for me again with this fight, I was winning the whole fight. The last rounds, yes, yeah. Another reason is in my head it was the right reason for me to retire because he threw a head kick. You know, it wasn't that hard. Dropped me. Right? Back in the day, I would have ate that like a biscuit. It would have been fine, whatever. But he just flash shot me down. But even still to this day, a little bit annoyed. Brian Waterman was the referee, and he was actually the referee for my first ever fight.
Yeah,
right, right. Because that was his fight show. And he was now the referee for my last fight. He knows me so well, right? And I'm pissed with him. Why did you stop that fight? I got dropped. Yes, right. I wasn't that hurt. You see that Chito actually came and I was kicking him and pushing him away. I'd understand if I was getting beaten up for the whole fight and he drops me. Yeah, cool. But I was winning the whole fight. I was comfortably winning, right? I won the first 2 rounds easy. I was even winning the third round, and it was like only a minute left. What was the time on it?
3:50.
Yeah, so 1 minute left of a fight, of my last fight, which I was winning the fight. Just let me go out on my pedestal. Let me go out cold if you're going to let me, you know.
Yeah, let me try.
But I wasn't even out, and then, then obviously it stopped and I was pissed and then I retired, put my hat in the cage and that was it. But I don't, in some ways, a lot of people say, the result doesn't matter. You know, it didn't matter, but it does, man. I didn't want to go out, you know, on a loss, you know, like...
It is, definitely, 100%. So you want to win.
Of course, and also,
everything matters.
I have everyone there, I'm a competitor.
You want to leave with this beautiful memory, right?
Yeah, and like you're saying, like, obviously, for me, Chito Vera now has gone on and done great things and stuff, but I'm like, mate, I don't know.
You can be him.
But still, even when I look at it now, I'm like, man... I don't actually think he's that good. I think he's got good striking and he's got good ground. He's got no wrestling and he loses fights until he wins, which is so hard to like say that. But even like against Frankie Edgar, he was losing the whole fight and then he gets that, what was it, front teep, I think it was, and knocks, you know, so for me, it's like, yeah.
And from all of those fights, which one you would say was the hardest? Like,
this is a question I get quite a lot. Which was my hardest fight? Yeah, and
when he was touching your bottom, you know what I mean? Like, or there was not such a moment.
There's a couple of fights where I'm like, I think my fight with Mike Easton was. He was the only person who kind of put me on my back foot a little bit. I mean, I was going for... no one put me on my back foot. I was like... But he was like... and me and him beat each other up quite bad. There was a few... One in the WC, me versus Ivan Menjivar, which I won that one. I won against Mike Easton. But also lost the fight against Scott Jorgensen back in the WC. That was a war.
And he was in prime, Scott. Those times. He was unbelievable. Those times.
And we like beat each other up. It was like... For me, when I knock out someone like Yves Jabron, for me, whatever, you know, like anyone could knock anyone out or submit someone within a fight. But when you have a 3-round battle with someone, really, like, you have to dig deep. And, like, for me, I think as a competitor, I was like, I'd much rather break someone mentally in a fight. I think it's way more, it's weird to say, like, way more manly and overpowering when you make someone quit. And I've done that in a few of my fights where I've got a few submissions on my record, but half of them are people going, get me out of here, take this. And for me, it was so much more satisfying to make someone break mentally, because I always prided myself being quite mentally tough. So, and it happens in training as well, don't get me wrong, but in a fight, you feel someone, okay, they're giving up now. They've given up, and you see it as a commentator and stuff. You see, this guy's done. He's done. You know, like he wants out. And
he wants out.
And they turn the back, and you know. So for me, as a fighter, there's nothing more, because someone clips someone, knocks out. It can happen,
happens.
right? It can happen, right? But when you get someone to like mentally quick,
then you really break.
Oh man, for me that was the most empowering kind of thing, you know. I enjoyed the most with him.
So if you break his head, also you break his body.
Everything. You know, like,
right, everything. You conquered him, right?
I mean, like getting knocked out, that can happen, but that's not a choice. Quitting is a choice. And mentally breaking someone until it quits. I would never quit. You know, I'll never quit in anything I do. I don't quit. You know, because like pain and whatever is just to last for a day, a week.
Yeah.
A month, depending on what if you've got a bad injury. But quitting lasts forever. If you once you quit, that is always there. You think about it to this day now. I remember that fight. I quit.
So you
never. I'll never quit in a million years.
So someone like choked you. You fell asleep.
5.
Yeah. No. I've been submitted. I've been submitted. So that's when I know like.
So you tapped.
Yeah, but when it's game over, it's game over.
Yeah.
You know, like that's different. But like,
so what do you mean?
He means quitting like if it's not so bad, but you won't get out
because
you are so beat. So badly
before I've had my arm kind of like broke by Hideo Takura, like, you know, and I tapped then. And
I want to ask this thing about Dana White because all the time, like in the all those years on the UFC, everybody told me like you are the guy of Dana White. He likes you the most. You got some special connection between you and him. But also you mentioned that you never fought for I don't want to say good money, but you never fought for money. Yeah. And I heard many times from different kind of places that you never ask for good money and he never give you that money what he can and what you maybe deserve. So
okay, right. So
how
for
you
me,
value this?
For me, I was never like money orientated, really. So, but I got paid what I got paid. You know, like obviously.
What was the biggest salary, if you can say?
I was on 45 when I finished. I was on 45 and 45.
Yeah, and that was the biggest salary.
That's the biggest I was on. Yeah, but but this was the thing. Is like that's what was quite hard. Sometimes it's quite hard as an athlete, right?
Because you never had a manager, no?
I had managers, yeah, but you know, nothing like I had managers.
Yeah.
But I wasn't ever managed by like a big manager firm.
Yeah,
I had individual guys. Right? So like for me, it's such a hard thing as like how old are you, Ondrej? How old are you?
46.
You're 46, right? So when you're around about 37, 44, you're probably, if you're working in any other business, by that age, you're probably the owner of a company or you're a very skilled tradesman in a certain area and you probably own your own business or you do that sort of thing. As a sportsman, as an athlete, as a fighter, now you got to start again. At that age of like late 30s, I mean, if you give your soul and everything to the sport, you don't have a trade to fall back on. You don't have a lot of things to fall back on. So it's so hard now when people go, oh, this guy should retire. This guy should, and you're like, man, it's not easy. It's not easy to retire because unless you got something to go back on, right? What else you doing? So me, when I was getting paid 45 and 45, I had potentially earn 90 grand in one fight.
Yeah.
That's more than people earn in a year.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm like, well, fuck, of course I'm going to fight.
Yeah.
I've got kids to feed. You know, so like, and you're telling me I got to retire from my fight? What are you on about? All I know is about get up in the morning and training, going up, rest, go back and train. And this is what I do. And now you're telling me I'm going to give up the most money I ever got in my life to fight. And now I need to do something else. So it's kind of a real hard thing. That's why people say, oh, you need to retire. I'm like, some people can't retire.
Yeah.
You know, so they're not in a position. They haven't got themselves in a position to retire. I was in a
because the money is still there. We're fighting in front for them.
Yeah, and this
now
is why
just
for
need
me,
to collect them.
if you look at the end of my career, in my head, I should have retired maybe a few fights before.
Yeah.
But I'm like, wow, fuck.
Yeah.
I could earn 90 grand. And I going back to what you're saying about Dana White, as in like, for me, I'd never had any complaints because my money kept on going up and stuff like that. And for me, in my first 6 fights in the UFC, I hit 5 bonuses. So money was never an issue for me.
Yeah.
I earned like 70 grand. This is when there was no caps. 70 grand, 60 grand, 50 grand, 50 grand, 50 grand, just bonuses. You know, then my fight. So I did it right. And then I did the right things, bought a house and houses and stuff like that. So, but for me, money was never a real issue for me.
Yeah.
And that's why Dana White liked me anyway, because I was hitting bonuses because I was in good fights. So, of course, like I say, business is business, right? As an employee, you want to make your boss happy, right? Of course, you don't want to be that guy moaning and this and that. You want to be a happy guy. You know, if I fought for Oktagon and I just like put on really good fights, you're gonna be like, hey, brilliant, great. You know, you want to be like, that person, and you want the boss to be a fan. You don't want to be like, what do you think you're a fight? You'd be like, yeah. You like, because obviously you're the boss of Oktagon, but also you're the fan of a sport. I wanted to have fans. That was my thing when I was fighting. I wanted people to like love my fights, you know.
Yeah.
So like win, obviously I wanted to win, but win or lose, I wanted to be involved in a good fight. But so same as then, that's why I had a good relationship with Dana, because like I put on good fights, right? But then also he didn't have to. But like say I was getting paid 45 and 45, like when my fight with Thomas Almeida, right? Crazy first round, right?
Yeah.
Good first round, second round, happened what happened. I went back home, gutted. Obviously, I wanted to win. Monday, he phoned me up, he went, Brad, that was an amazing fight. We're going to give you your win money as well. All right, thanks.
That's cool.
Just gave me an extra 35 grand for nothing.
Yeah.
You know? Didn't have to, was not on my contract.
Yeah.
Just goes, that was a great fight. Here's 35 grand. Yeah. So like, if I was a bad employee, where if I was bitching and moaning about this right there, I would never do that. Because then people don't realize business is business, but you can have fighters that you like working with and you would help them out more. Same as you would help your mate out more. If your guy's a bit of a dick and a pain, you'd be like, I'll pay him because he's on the contract, but man, I'm not going to do this guy any favors, you know, because he's doing my head in.
Yeah.
People got to realize that. Some people have zero emotional intelligence, you know. You don't bite the hand that feeds you, you know. Of course, people want more money and that sort of stuff and what's fair. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, if you go into the UFC or go into Oktagon, wherever, and you win 10 fights in a row, has your money gone up or gone down? Or stayed the same? 100% gone up. If you go into Oktagon and you lose your first 3 fights, you're probably not fighting there again.
Yeah.
So for me, if you just concentrate on winning fights, you're going to get paid money, you know, inside and outside, right? Like I say this is like, money is always the shadow of success. If you're successful in whatever it is, fighting, filming, whatever, hairdressing, you're going to get money. So you just aim on being good at what you do and money should follow. You know, that's how I see it.
Yeah. Just
and what Dana?
Nice.
How you see him, like the promoter, like the.
For me, it's like Dana. To me, is Dana's. Obviously, I could always go by just my experience.
Yeah.
Because I'm a cool guy and I'm good. Me and him got on like a house on fire. Cool as fuck. Every time he sees me, always has times come over, shakes my hand. He would approach me. And not me going, oh, how you been? You're like, he will come over to me and go, Brad, wicked to see you again. Yeah. You know, how's things? How's the kids? You know, he will come out to me because, like, just our relationship.
Perfect.
Yeah, we have a good relationship. But like I say, like, he would never do that to everyone.
Yeah.
And why would you?
Definitely.
If you got
and you can't because you got 600 fighters.
You're gonna have guys in your roster where you're gonna go up to go, oh, mate, how's it going, mate? You're right. You get just generals and like you've got kids. You know, sometimes when your kids do your head in, you know, like you're still your kids, but sometimes you prefer one of your other kids. You know, it happens. You know, right? Yeah,
one more question about this topic. What about a slap?
What about a slap?
Yeah.
Do you want a slap?
No. Thank you. No.
What means slapping?
I want that competition.
Slap championship.
Would I do that or not?
What do you think about
it? What
it's
do you think
retarded.
about it? Yeah.
Honestly, I love Dana White to bits. He's a promoter. But you understand, business is business, right? So
but doesn't, you know...
for me, it's the most stupid sport in the world. Because for me, it's like...
Because it's not a sport, no?
It's class sport. But for me, slap fighting is... not smart, I think, because obviously there's no
very diplomatic.
It's not a lot of skill involved, right? Of course, there's some skill involved, but for me and you are fighting right now. If I got good skill, you throw a punch at me, you can make him in the face, knock me out.
Yeah.
But if I had the option to try and slip it counter you and hit you back with some shots. And that's my skill over surpassing your skill.
Yeah.
With this, you just like, for me, it's a tough man contest. It's who's tougher. You know, it's not it's like, who's tougher. It's not a case of who's got better technique with a slap. It's who literally could absorb as much punishment. And then now we're looking about careers of like, I mean, this is not going to bode well in my eyes. You're like in boxing, I find MMA is in my eyes a much safer sport than boxing.
Yeah,
the reason
for
being,
sure.
because in boxing, all you do is take brain trauma, and sometimes when you
There's only
spar,
two targets
spar
now.
you just spar. You're in brain trauma all your life, right?
Yeah.
So for me, that's why I say MMA is way more safer, because like in boxing, I crack you with a good shot, you fall down, you get 8 seconds, 10 seconds to recover, you get back up, okay, right. Let's go again. Let's go have some more damage. Where in MMA, crack you go down, ref pulls me off, and now it's finished. You're now not taking any more damage once being hurt, you know? But this is like a case where you cannot avoid damage, and you're constantly going to have damage as much as you can be. Yeah. There's no way it's going to be, this is quite a new sport. There's no way there's going to be longevity in anyone's career within this sport. Yeah. You know, like you can't, you know, you talk about sport. I do think it's I love Dana White to bits, but I do think, man, for me, it's a stupid sport to one be involved in. I find bare knuckle and stuff like that.
Yeah,
skill in that. Tough people do it. You know, like I've had a bare knuckle boxing match. You know, but like people have done it.
Yeah,
and there's a lot more skill involved. But if I have a young athlete coming into my gym who wants to fight, I'll be like, cool, let's go do MMA or let's go box. You're not going to go do bare knuckle because, again, it's one of those ones you can't see longevity on your career because it's quite detrimental to your health. Yeah. So you can maybe earn some money for a small period of time.
It's it's not smart, like the health-wise, and you can really hurt yourself.
Also, we try to avoid this kind of sports, you know, to say everyone that MMA is something what you can watch as a sport, as a sport. Yeah. And now we are bringing this crazy shit back.
For me, bare knuckle now obviously got a lot bigger. I've done a bare knuckle boxing match. There's reasons behind why I've done my bare knuckle boxing match is because of this. When I got into fighting, you see me wear my hat and my braces. My mum said to me, I got it from my granddad. My granddad died when I was 4, so I didn't really know him that well. But I remember looking at pictures of him, and he used to wear a trilby hat and braces.
So that's why.
Yeah.
I was about to ask.
So he used to wear a trilby hat and braces. But what he used to do, he used to work as a roofer during the day, and at night time, just to earn more money for the family, he'd do bare knuckle boxing. So I'm like, okay, this is cool. So in my fighting career, I used to wear my trilby hat and braces to pay tribute to my granddad. So obviously, once I retired fighting, I've been offered to to bare knuckle a few times, and I'm like, you know what? I've retired from MMA, but I think it'd be a good end to my story because when I got into fighting, it's about bare knuckle. I'm like, let me maybe finish my fight my career on a bare knuckle match. And yet again, as in a lot of people think you fighters are pretty stupid. I like to think I was a little bit smart with this because I thought I've retired from the UFC, right? I was still within top 10, 15 of the UFC, right? People are going to give me trouble within the fight are going to be in the UFC or Bellator or any higher organization. Yeah. Or they've got glove boxing. They're not doing that. And they're not doing bare knuckle boxing. So I'm like, I'll fight anyone. So I did. And don't get me wrong, since then, the level of bare knuckle boxing has gone up a lot. The reason being because it's promoted a lot better. The money in it's a lot better. And when you promote things better, and as you know, once you promote things better and you pay people better, you're going to attract better athletes to the roster. Same with happened bare knuckle. But when I was fighting, I was like, whoever I fight, whoever. And it showed. It was like I threw 2 punches and I won the fight. I didn't even get hit. And you commentate a lot of my fights, so I get hit every fight I had. So I did find it kind of strange where I had a bare knuckle box match and I didn't even get hit. I kind of felt cheated, and that's it. And then again, I had that and I'm like, cool, I'm done. So after that fight, I got millions of messages from people, I want to fight Brad. I'm like, who are you? Again, from me hanging up my MMA gloves to bare knuckle, I was I'll do this because it's a new challenge. I'm like, oh, cool. Let me go. Let me do this. Yeah, it's a goal. I'm a challenge. I'll do this. And I was motivated. But as soon as I won the British belt, I fought the guy, knocked him out with 2 punches, won the British belt. And then everyone started calling me out. And I'm like, who's this person? I'm like, I don't care. And I'm like, Lee, whatever. And I wasn't motivated. There's only one other fight I would have had that sort of era if it had come about. We're having chats about it, me versus Artem Lobov, because for me, I thought that would have been a good fight. It would have been fun, and I would have been motivated to do
which
that
weight class?
Whatever.
He's
66.
He's 66.
Yeah.
He'd be bigger than me.
Like
fight
he's
66?
He's done, but he was fighting 66.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I met him at a bare knuckle. No, I met him at a Brave or something, and he got a big head.
And
I just think stylistically, it would have been a fun fight.
And from your last...
And now he needs money for Conor, so maybe we can
to
do
pay
it.
him.
Yeah.
And from your last fight, you have the gloves?
My
I'm just
last
curious.
ever fight,
I mean, in MMA.
In MMA, I've got
Even the hat, no? You leave it in the...
I left the hat in the ring, but someone gave it back to me, so I got it at home.
Oh, okay.
So you still have both.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of where my last gloves are. I've got...
I was thinking it's some
they took at least one,
memorabilia.
no?
Yeah, no, I keep all my memorabilia. I've got a lot of my memorabilia up in my gym. So one thing I've
What
done...
they took from you from the last fight? Definitely they took something, no?
This 45K.
No, they gave me that. In the end. But what was really clever is, because you have to give part of your fee.
Yeah.
So I used to always give them a corner man t-shirt.
Oh, okay.
So the person who walked out, I take my Browns t-shirt and give it to him.
Okay. You put sweat on?
Yeah, a little bit of blood.
Yeah, so I collect loads of memorabilia. So you've been to my gym, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't there, but when you came, but I have all memorabilia. So you see in there with the UFC posters.
On the reception,
that's every poster there is, every show I fought on. So that's all the posters.
Yeah.
Also, I have one where it has one pair of gloves for every show I fought on. So like be Bodog, UFC, Cage Rage, WEC. I have like
From everywhere.
every show.
And then just the next day after your last fight, after Auto Arena, was it any different that morning? Like, there was no...
Yeah, it's quite morbid in a lot of ways. Because it could have been a lot different. If I'd have won the fight, maybe a lot different.
I mean, if there was not... But how I'm imagining, like, this now big part of your life just ended.
Yeah.
Right there, the night before. And there was no, like, feeling of emptiness or something?
100%. Since me retiring... There's always the hole's not full. Far from it, isn't it? I still like every time. I remember coming to one of your shows. I can't remember which one it was, and coming to commentate. And
in Ostrava, I guess.
And it was like just how that I'm like, I want to fight. You know, just because when you have it, I was always a fighter that fought for fans. If I went to I could never fought through COVID. When there was no audience, I could never fight through COVID because I would hate that. I fight for fans and fan engagement. So if I was like, I'd love to fight you have fucking crowds. I'm like, man, I want to fight in front of people. Yeah, I was a fighter, but I was an entertainer, so I wanted to say, I want to I know you guys have some fights in your shows and stuff like that, and so get some big names in, and they just don't do the. That for me, I don't understand this. Yeah. Because for me, at the end of the day, it's a sport, but it's entertainment. You have to be entertained. I remember the fight with Mike Easton. I was fighting him, and I remember one point, I think it was in the third round, and I was on top, controlling him pretty well, and I'm like, this is boring. And I just cut him loose. I'm like, come on, let's go. And stop. And start. If I was a coach, I'd be like, what are you doing? Because I could have easily coasted that fight out and just laid on him. But I'm like, no, we've got to be involved in a fight. Let's have a fight. So I made it more exciting. And I think people really need to understand that it's a sport, but it's an entertainment sport. You need to be, I told my fighters in my gym, I tell them, your product, right? If your product's not in any demand, you're not valuable. You need to create some demand. It could be from trash talking outside the cage, or just how you look, or how you fight. For me, do it how you fight. You know, you don't want to be a good chatter and not fight well.
Or how you walk in.
You need, or how you walk in. You need to fight well, and that's the main thing. And then anything else is just a added bonus. But you need to make sure that there's nothing more prouder for me. And like after my fight, fucking that was fucking great fight. Or even to this day now, I still get it now when I walk out, mate. Love watching you fight. I'm like, oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. You know, because for me that was the buzz that I liked. You know, I love that people go, man, that's a great fight. You know, cool. You know, and that's what if I was involved in a boring fight, I'd be so upset.
So what is there for you now? What's the carrot in front of you as a trainer?
For me, obviously now I still compete. I'm always competitive, right? So for me, I now compete for a lot of my athletes. You know, like, and now it's my job to teach them and give them the best I can, and give them, guide them as well as I can, and hopefully they can surpass what I ever achieved. And I've got some great guys in my gym and stuff like that. Good, and going back to my gym. Now I want it to be one of the best gyms in the world. You know, I think I've only been open a year. I think don't want to say it, but I think we're the best gym in the UK. You know, like facility-wise, 100%.
Facility-wise, 100%. Sure.
For team-wise, I think we're getting there. I think we've got a very good stable of guys. And then everyone wants to be in Europe and so on and so forth. So that's I guess my next goal is just to create the next wave of great fighters.
Perfect.
Okay, so good luck with that. We wish you all the best.
Going back to what you're saying, like me coming into Oktagon, coaching these guys in Oktagon,
and
this has been a massive kind of, like, for me, is like something I always wanted to do. Like, even when I was fighting in the UFC, I wanted to go and be my fight coach. I wanted to do that so bad. So now just to experience this, I mean, thank you. And I'm very, very happy that I've got to do this, and it's going to be fun as well when you see some of that.
Thank you. And if any time you want to fight again, we can consider.
I said,
don't say it twice.
No, but honestly, for me, me to fight MMA again, I think my body would not allow me. You know, just because I have so many niggling injuries, and I know how to get ready for an MMA fight is grueling on my body and my time. I'm such a busy man, but I do a boxing match, but I know, like, I don't want to do a boxing match with big gloves either. And I know bare knuckles not always the way, but I said, like, I'd happily do a boxing match with MMA gloves. You know, I'll do that. You know, like 100%. That's something I would potentially consider doing. Yeah, if it was okay. Yeah, again, also
be careful what you wish for.
But also, but seriously, but also
go to ask Patty.
But also it have to be a right opponent as well. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll be up for fighting that guy. You know, you have to a lot of it makes sense. Because for me, this never dies. You know, and this, you know, it never dies. My body deteriorates, but me, you know,
it's your thing, right?
Of course. You know.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Thanks for having on, guys.
Guest here.
Thanks a lot.
Cool.
Thanks
a lot.
Wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ondrej, to be here.